Jairam Ramesh, among others, will join us tonight as we look at whether this is Congress's comeback vehicle or Rahul Gandhi's relaunch. Also, Sunil Gavaskar, our cricket expert, will tell us what's gone wrong with India's Asia Cup campaign. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. 3,500 kilometers, 12 states and 5 months, the Congress begins its Bharat Jodo Yatra, declaring a war against the Modi government. Congress netas to eat, sleep and protest on the roads, led by Rahul Gandhi. All-out war breaks out between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Lieutenant Governor Vinay Saxena. Kejriwal accused of evading stamp duty worth 25 lakhs by the LG's office in a complaint. AAP responds by tearing up a defamation notice sent by the LG. Income Tax Department conducts surveys on think tanks and NGOs like Centre for Policy Research and Oxfam and groups which allegedly have been financing anti-Modi websites. Meanwhile, IT raids also carried out pan-India on political parties not registered with the EC. CBI heat on Trinamool Congress netas. Now Bengal's Law Minister Molloy Ghatak's 3 houses are raided in the coal scam case. The rain stops, but the misery doesn't in Bengaluru. Third day of a city marooned by water. Chief Minister Bommai puts the blame on past Congress governments for the civic mess. A day after a massive beef backlash against actor Ranbir Kapoor and Alia Bhatt in Ujjain, Team Brahmastra breaks silence on protests, says the film promotes positivity, does not seek to divide. Classified nuclear secrets and documents seized from Donald Trump's Florida resort among the 11,000 government documents and photographs collected by the FBI. Chelsea's new owner sacked head coach Thomas Tuchel 3 months after he took charge for a poor show at the Champions League. Sensex Nifty fall for a second straight session on global economic gloom. Banks and auto stocks decline. Rupee weakens against the dollar, still below the 80 mark. But our top story, income tax surveys have taken place right through the day on some of the most noted think tanks and NGOs in the country. An income tax survey has also taken place at the Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation in Bengaluru. The IPSMF plunds many small news portals, some of which are seen to be critical of the Modi government. The IT survey also at the Centre for Policy Research and Oxfam. The Centre for Policy Research has among its board of governors the former Foreign Secretary Shyam Saran. Oxfam has been also critical of the government, especially on issues like rising income inequality. So NGOs and think tanks coming on the radar of the income tax authorities, passing off growing concerns over what the motives are. Munish Pandey, who tracks the tax authorities, joins me. Munish, Centre for Policy Research, one of the most reputed think tanks in the country. Number of diplomats and scholars are part of it. Oxfam, which is internationally recognized, and a foundation, a trust in Bengaluru, which had in the past the likes of Azim Premji on its board and was supporting websites, small websites. What is the common theme? What are the income tax authorities telling you?
Yeah, well, Rajdeep, we have been given to understand is that the surveys are being conducted on these 3 organizations. These 3 organizations are independent organizations. But as far as IT investigation is concerned, what they are claiming that these surveys are being conducted because there are suspected financial irregularities. And during these survey, they are going through the financial documents, financial records of these 3 companies. As of now, there is no official release from the Income Tax Department. So we are not in a position that why and what the income tax authorities or officials have found during these surveys.
The common theme, Munish, in all of these organizations, either some of them have scholars who have written against the government, or in the case of the IPSMF, have financed websites and portals that have been critical of the government. Is this being seen as another step of a crackdown on such organizations?
Yeah, well, Rajdeep, earlier we have seen that whenever there have been investigation or searches by the Income Tax Department, ED or the CBI on the opposition political parties, then there have been always allegations against this government that this is all due to political vendetta. But as far as these three organizations are concerned, none of them have come on record saying that what the allegations are. But of course, there will be high-reaching implications as far as these searches are concerned. We are yet to get any official statement from these three organizations or even for that matter from the Income Tax Department.
Okay, there is Munish Pandey giving us more details on this big story that's been breaking through the day. A lot of the top, Oxfam of course is internationally known, and questions are being raised now by the income tax authorities on these organizations. We'll keep tracking that breaking story. Meanwhile, let's turn to the big political story of the day. And it comes today from the Congress party, because the Congress party today kick-started its ambitions Bharat Jodo Kanyakumari to Kashmir Yatra. The Yatra is expected to cover 3,500 kilometers over the next 5 months. The Congress claims it's the biggest public connect program the party has undertaken. Critics, however, say the Yatra is aimed more at relaunching Rahul Gandhi yet again than reviving the party, which has struggled in recent times. In a moment, we'll discuss that, but first take a look at the big story.
Rahul Gandhi flags off the Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari that will take him through 12 states, covering 3,500 kilometers before it ends in Kashmir. The Congress says the Yatra is aimed at uniting the country, which according to them is being pulled apart by divisive forces.
What is happening in the country that so many people, millions and millions of people, feel that there is a need to take an action that brings India together.
The whole Yatra is planned to rejuvenate the Congress, though pundits would say it is designed to relaunch Rahul Gandhi, a platform to deliver Rahul 3.0. It comes ahead of party elections to pick a new president, a post Rahul is apparently reluctant to take, but his party elders are keen to thrust on him.
Each and every Congress worker across the nation, they are vociferously demanding the leader of our party, Rahul Gandhi ji, to take the charge of Congress party anew.
Rahul started the day from Shri Perumbudur offering homage to his father Rajiv Gandhi, who was assassinated by LTTE in 1991. The BJP questioned the symbolism of the act and the presence of Robert Vadra in Congress posters. It claimed the yatra was to serve the family and not the Congress.
ये जो नाटक है, ये जो छलावा है, ये जो दिखावा है, इसको देश के आगे बताना जरूरी है कि ये परिवार को बचाने की यात्रा है। ये परिवार का पार्टी पर नियंत्रण बना रहे, उसके लिए यात्रा है।
कांग्रेस का समय में तो भारत दो टुकड़ा हो ही गया था। अभी भारत जोड़ने के लिए तो कांग्रेस को पाकिस्तान जाना है।
A yatra to revive the Congress party or relaunch Rahul Gandhi. The Congress politician has embarked on such yatras earlier as well. But in sheer scale, the Bharat Jodo Yatra eclipses all that. But will it deliver? An indication could come as early as December when Gujarat goes to polls. With video journalist Pawan Kumar and Supriya Bharadwaj, this is Mosmi Singh in Kanyakumari for India Today.
And a short while ago, I spoke to Jairam Ramesh, who is the chief media coordinator of the Congress, its former MP and union minister, on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Listen in. And joining me now is the Congress's chief spokesperson, its head of the media management, and its member of parliament, former union minister Jairam Ramesh, joins me at this moment from Kanyakumari. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Ramesh. The big question, Jairam Ramesh, that is being asked, this Yatra, Bharat Jodo Yatra that the Congress has begun, is it about reviving the Congress or is it about relaunching Rahul Gandhi? What is this Yatra really about? About Rahul Gandhi, the star messenger, or is it about the message you want to send out?
No. It's a Bharat Jodo Yatra because Bharat is being totaled on 3 counts. It's being totaled because of economic inequalities. It is being splintered on account of social polarization. And it's under great tension because of political over-centralization. And it's keeping these 3 factors in mind: economic inequalities, social polarization, and political centralization, that the Bharat Jodo Yatra was conceived of at Udaipur 4 months ago and is being launched at 5 p.m. today. It's a historic yatra. It's the longest ever Pad Yatra, I should stress. It's a yatra on foot from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, almost 3,600 kilometers long. And it's the longest political yatra on foot that has been initiated by India's oldest political party, perhaps the world's 2nd or 3rd oldest political party.
No, but the question, of course, though, arises, Mr. Ramesh, from your answer. You claim that this yatra is about addressing concerns over income inequalities, about social polarization, about over-centralization. But the truth is that how is a yatra going to actually make you politically able to challenge the forces that you claim to oppose? Eventually, you have to win elections. There are those who are saying the yatra is taking place at a time when the Congress should be focusing on Gujarat, on Karnataka, on Himachal Pradesh, on the immediate elections, rather than engage in a 150-day-old yatra that's not even going through the election-bound states.
Rajdeep, over the last 3 months, we have looked at 5 or 6 different alternatives for the yatra from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. It is a Kanyakumari to Kashmir yatra, and the final route was selected keeping geographical factors in mind, security factors in mind, logistics in mind, the need to make it a completely Pad Yatra, not a hybrid yatra. That dictated the final choice. Also, the fact is that if you start a Pad Yatra in Kanyakumari, there is no way you can reach Gujarat or Himachal Pradesh, less than 90 days time, by which time the elections are over in both the states. So there is no way, even if you have a fixed 56-inch chest and if you're a Superman, that you would reach Gujarat or Himachal Pradesh on foot beginning September from Kanyakumari. Also remember that the Bharat Jodo Yatra demands complete mobilization of the party organization and the party machinery. And if we had gone through Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, instead of focusing on the state assembly elections there, the entire party organization would have been involved and immersed in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So that is one of the reasons why this Bharat Jodo Yatra is almost on a straight line.
Is Rahul Gandhi the face, the mascot of your yatra? Because he has been reluctant to become Congress president. Those elections are likely in the next 6 weeks. What is Rahul Gandhi's exact role at the moment? Does he still remain a reluctant leader to take over Congress presidency, but happy to
There are
lead this
118
yatra? What
Bharat
is his role?
Yatras, 118 congressmen and congresswomen, plus one Rahul Gandhi, who will complete the 3,570 kilometer long Pad Yatra. 1/3, almost 30% of the Yatris are women. The average age is 38. Naturally, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is the most prominent and public face of the Bharat Yatris, but it is not a Rahul Gandhi-led Bharat Yatra. It's a Bharat Yatra in which congressmen and congresswomen are participating, in which Mr. Rahul Gandhi is also participating. And I must also tell you that in a recent interaction with civil society organizations, when he was asked, Rahul ji, आप भारत यात्रा पर क्यों निकले हुए हैं? तो he said, हमारे संस्कार में पूजा है और तपस्या है, और मैं इस यात्रा को तपस्या के रूप में देखता हूँ. So for me, it is a personal tapasya.
Two questions come from what you said. Number one, The fact is, Jairam Ramesh, the Congress needs to attract voters outside your own echo chambers, outside your own workers. You will concede that. The fact is, your vote share has not risen in the last 10 years. I'm coming back to elections. How does this yatra make you more election battle ready? Ultimately,
this yatra is
politics is about getting to power, not about tapasya. Your Rahul Gandhi is saying it's about tapasya, but your party workers and, dare I say, leaders want to return to power. How does a yatra get you back to power?
We are a political party. Of course, we have political objectives in mind. But this yatra has been started not just keeping the state elections or the 2024 Lok Sabha elections in mind. It's a yatra to transform the public discourse. It's a yatra to bring the Congress closer to voices on the ground, different voices on the ground. There is interaction with different civil society groups, individuals, activists, people who have not been traditionally associated with the Congress, who are now are part of the yatra interaction. This is not a Man Ki Baat type of a yatra where Mr. Rahul Gandhi will every day will give Desh ke naam sandesh, like some people do. This is a yatra to listen. It's a yatra to interact. We've been in power for many years, for many decades. Now we are in the opposition. We are playing the role of a constructive opposition, and we believe that the nation is going through a profound crisis, economic crisis, social crisis, and political crisis. So, you can look upon this yatra from different points of view. Of course, we are not a party of sannyasis. We don't have asli sannyasis and nakli sannyasis like the BJP has.
You use the word, you've used Bharat Jodo for the yatra. You might have heard what the likes of Hemanta Biswa Sarma, former congressman now with the BJP, have said, that, almost suggesting that he believes that there is no need for Bharat Jodo. If you want to do a yatra that brings together people, suggesting that, go to Pakistan, you don't have to come to India. India was partitioned in 1947. How do you respond to those who still are unwilling to take the Congress seriously?
I don't want to force myself to the level of Hemanta Biswa Sarma, who spent a good part of 25-30 years in the Congress party. After he was associated with certain organizations, which I shall not name, he's now a recent migrant to the BJP. He has gone through the BJP washing machine, and he's now under great pressure to prove his loyalty to the new masters day after day by making outlandish and outrageous statements. And I don't see the need to demean myself and diminish myself to respond to any statement that Mr. Sharma might make.
You said this is a Congress yatra, but you've got the likes of Yogendra Yadav also joining the yatra. Now, Yogendra Yadav, till not too long ago, was originally with the Anna movement, then with the Kisan movement. He's been a critic at times of Rahul Gandhi and the Congress and its politics. It appears that you are now trying to connect with left of center or left civil society groups. Is that also part of the endeavor to try and see if the Congress occupies that broader left of center space? What role do the Yogendra Yadavs now have?
Rajdeep, as usual, you have quoted me only selectively. I have said it's a Congress yatra done in a non-partisan manner. It is a yatra mounted by the Congress party, organized by the Congress party, in which the entire yatra is being covered by congressmen and congresswomen. But it's a non-partisan yatra. We have appealed to all political parties who share our objectives, who share our belief in the constitution, who believe like us that democracy is under threat, the economy is in crisis, politics is under threat and under assault, to join us. Now, we have appealed to civil society groups. Now, I know many of these civil society groups were very active in 2012 in the anti-Congress movement. But, they have realized now that there is no alternative to the Congress. So, we are appealing to everybody. Politics is not about converting the converted. Politics is also about reaching out to people who are opposed to you, who are on the borderline, or who have abandoned you for some reason, to expand your footprint. This yatra is about expanding footprints as well. It's about deepening the footprint, but it's also about expanding footprints.
In conclusion, many will say the Congress faces multiple challenges. There's the crisis of ideology, there's the question of organization, and there is the leadership challenge. Do you really believe that one yatra can be a silver bullet that can resolve this? There will be those who will say it's misplaced priorities, but what I ask is, do you believe this yatra will resolve these three crisis you face, ideological, organizational and leadership?
The Congress faces multiple challenges, both within and without, no doubt about it. The Yatra is a decisive moment for the Congress party. It's not a magic wand. It's not a panacea. It's not a one-off solution. It's part of the process of rejuvenating, refurbishing, renewing, and refreshing ourselves. I'm under no illusions that, once having done the Yatra and completed the Yatra, the party is going to be suddenly transformed. No, it's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require a lot of changes. It's going to require changes in people, procedures, in systems, no doubt about it. And we are faced with an ideological and political opponent of a type that we have not faced before. Mr. Vajpayee, we faced Mr. Vajpayee, but Mr. Vajpayee is a completely different, completely different proposition than Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah. But I believe that the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a moment in which the organization has immersed itself in, and the organization sees the Yatra as an opportunity for carrying out the decisions and the transformations internally that are required and which everybody recognizes.
So in a sense, would you agree that this is a last chance in a way for the Congress ahead of the 2024 elections to prove that it's ready to change, that it understands that it is now in a serious crisis and Band-Aid won't do, you need surgery? Is that an acceptance then in Rahul Gandhi now hitting the streets that you need to change the way your party is perceived?
Well, I certainly don't look upon the Yatra as the last throw of the dice, Rajdeep. I think, there are a set of actions we have to take. There's a cumulative effect. If you remember, I don't have to remind you that in 2004, you were amongst the cynics who had written the Congress off. And you were amongst the people who were, writing epitaphs for the Congress. But we surprised everybody.
No, not true. Not true. My friend, I must set the record straight. It was our psephologists who were telling us that Mr. Vajpayee was winning. I recall meeting you and Salman Khurshid in a small office that you had at that moment. And yes, there was a general belief that the Congress was well behind the BJP. I concede that. But I don't think I wrote you off. I write off no one in politics.
No. I mean, writing epitaphs for the Congress has become a favorite occupation of the commentariat, particularly of the liberal commentariat. I think the reports of the death of the Congress are largely exaggerated. There is tremendous resilience in the Congress. And just wait and watch. The Yatra is the beginning of the emergence of a new aggressive Congress.
I will ask this one more time, Jairam Ramesh. I'm not writing the epitaph of your party, but as you know, the next few weeks could be critical. You've got a possible election in the middle of October for Congress president. Do you believe that Rahul Gandhi is the person who will, while being on the Yatra, also be Congress president? Or are there now distinct roles where Rahul Gandhi wants to play the role of a Yatri, taking on, and the president will be someone else? Are we going to see a new president of the Congress?
See, Congress bashing has become a favorite pastime, not just of the right wing. Congress bashing has become a favorite pastime of the liberal establishment. It's also become it has always been a favorite pastime of the left as well. So Congress bashing is now, has been going on for quite some time, and you get a lot of
because people want to see a strong opposition.
Congress is an easy and convenient.
Mr. Jairam Ramesh, people want to see a strong opposition.
Of course. I am glad you say that. I am glad because some people are imagining that you can have but a strong opposition is possible only with a strong Congress. So we have to strengthen ourselves first. Other parties can't strengthen themselves at the expense of the Congress. Opposition unity does not mean that all other parties strengthen themselves at the expense of the Congress. Opposition party unity means when every party fulfills its own dharma. We have to strengthen ourselves in different states. It's only a strong Congress that can lead, that can provide a strong opposition. It's only a strong Congress that can provide an alternative formation to the BJP RSS combined.
Jairam Ramesh, I'm conceding while conceding a bit of what you're saying, I want to ask you in conclusion on a question you're avoiding. In the middle of October, there is an election for the Congress president. Many believe part of the problem is you have a non-playing captain. Rahul Gandhi has power without responsibility or accountability. Now he's going on a yatra. Will he also be Congress president, or are these two separate issues?
Well, let's wait till the 30th when the process of nomination gets completed. If there are elections to be held, they'll be held on the 17th of October. There are people who have said that they want to contest the post of the Congress president. I think everybody is welcome to contest. It's a democratic contest. We are the only political party in India which is has elections for its top position. Which other political party goes through an elaborate election procedure? Nobody else. There are, we are held to different standards. Let's rightly so, because we've been the preeminent political formation and political party in the country. So I agree that we should be held to different standards. But please ask yourself, of course there are problems in holding organizational elections. Procedures are involved, systems are involved, questions will be raised. These are natural. But the fact is that if elections are needed, if there are going to be candidates, more than one candidate, whoever they may be, elections will be held on the 17th of October. Organizations will continue on one stream, but the Bharat Jodo Yatra will continue.
Okay.
It's a relentless yatra. It will continue. It will take 5.5 months to complete.
Okay, let me leave it there, Jairam Ramesh. I appreciate your joining us and giving us a sense of why you believe this yatra is a defining moment, certainly for the Congress party. You're saying it's not a do or die moment, but we'll wait and see where this yatra eventually finds a destination. I appreciate, Jairam Ramesh, you taking the time off from your busy schedule to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's raise those questions. We've heard from Jairam Ramesh, but I want to widen this to those who watched the Congress for years. Is this yatra to revive the Congress, or is it to relaunch Rahul Gandhi? Will it take more than just a yatra at the moment to revive the Congress? No magic wand there. Is this the Congress's do or die moment in a way before 2024? I'm joined by Tableen Singh, columnist and author who's tracked the Congress for years. I'll also be joined by Manikam Tagore, one of the young Rahul Gandhi Congress MPs. But Tableen Singh, you heard Jairam Ramesh there saying, admitting there's no magic wand for the Congress, but insisting that this yatra is not about the relaunch of Rahul Gandhi. As someone who's been a critic of the dynastic streak in the Congress, do you really believe Jairam Ramesh when he says it's not about relaunching Rahul Gandhi?
No, I don't believe him. I think he knows just as well as every other person in the Congress party that they have done nothing to move away from the dynastic nature of the Congress party, which has become Narendra Modi's biggest weapon against it. Now, they've been in opposition for 8 years, and in the past 3 years, he has over and over again talked about Parivarvad as being his kind of Brahmastra for the next election. And they have done nothing to do that. When you put Rahul Gandhi at the head of this yatra, what are you saying? That he's going to take sannyas, that he's leaving politics and is now going to be walking around the country like Vinoba Bhave or something? Jairam Ramesh himself was unable to answer your questions, Rajdeep. You saw that. Because they really don't know why they're doing this and what it should achieve. And by the way, I just want to make clear that I am against dynastic politics, which is a fact. But I am also very keen on an opposition party or an opposition front coming together by 2024. So I'm not against the Congress party. I'm very eager for it to revive.
But there will be those, Tableen Singh, who will say that, Rahul Gandhi is in a situation of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. For the longest time, people have said, look, Rahul Gandhi, it's not enough for you to be on Twitter and take on Mr. Modi, hit the street. Now Rahul Gandhi hits the street. What do we say? Rahul Gandhi is a non-serious politician. Can he really sustain himself over these 5 months? Can he really revive the Congress? I mean, what is Rahul Gandhi supposed to do?
Well, he's supposed to try and revive his party. Because if he revives himself by going on this yatra and draws attention to himself, it doesn't take away from the fact that the Congress party, which had a formidable organization right up to 2014, has lost that because there has been, I'm not trying to promote my book when I say this, there has been a darbar in Delhi, which has reduced, which has shrunk the Congress party from being a political party to a family business.
But that happened. That happened well before. With due regard, that happened well before 2014. I mean, are we saying in a way that what you're seeing, even in this yatra, is the darbari culture all over again?
Well, they can't have a darbar when they're walking across India, But the fact is that in the past, they've lost 2 general elections, and we have not seen them really seriously examine why. They have these little committees, etc. They will produce reports to which they've paid no attention. But where has there been an attempt for people to fan out across the country, for the Congress workers to revive the Seva Dal, for instance, to go to the panchayats and find people there who will support them? There are plenty of Indians who do not support the ideology of the BJP, who are looking for an alternative, right all the way down to the grassroots. But they don't find that the Congress party has done enough to do that. And I think the Padyatra is just going to be a distraction from the real work that the party has to do.
The Manikam Tagore joins us. As I said, he's very close to Rahul Gandhi. You're hearing Tavleen Singh saying, look, this is about, in a way, reviving Rahul Gandhi rather than reviving the Congress. And in a way, the yatra is only a distraction. I mean, is this the moment for a yatra? Shouldn't you be, as I told Jairam Ramesh, be out there fighting elections, or actually showing that you have a Chhattisgarh or a Rajasthan model which people can look up to? Kejriwal promotes his so-called Delhi model. You don't have a model to promote. What do? You go on a yatra. How do you respond to those who are being skeptical about what really this yatra will achieve?
Thank you, Rajdeep. Just we had finished our inaugural rally in Kanyakumari, and I'm able to join you through this live debate. One thing is that everybody have a different opinion, but Congress party, after a clear-cut thought process in Udaipur, there was 3 days. Chintan Shivir was there. All the senior leaders of more than 450 leaders across India sat together and came up with a plan of action. One of that action was to have a connect program, which is called as Bharat Jodo, which will speak on the fear and hate politics of the Sangh Parivar, particularly the Sangh organizations, and led by a government which is led by a Sangh-based leader. Therefore, main issue is that we are speaking about politics which is towards the people, going to the people, speaking with the people, have a conversation with the people, having a dialogue with the people. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who has been the Congress president in 17 to 19, and he has quit that on moral grounds, has accepted to be part of that 100 Padyatris. What is the problem for the liberal friends? The thing is that is there any other opportunity? Is there any other way out to reach out to people? Can you say to us that?
Let me take what you said. Let me take what you said to Tavleen Singh. Is there any other way to reach out to the people other than go on a yatra? We can go back to Chandrasekhar in the 1980s. L.K. Advani did a series of yatras in the 1990s. Then you had YS Rajshekhar Reddy, who had a very successful yatra. What's wrong, Tavleen Singh, with a yatra if that's the way to connect to people?
No, for a start, the reason why I think it doesn't work is that I walked with Chandrasekhar part of the way. And he had a very clear purpose. He wanted to become prime minister, and he wanted to do it this way. But at the end of the day, which I actually wrote in my column, he was too tired to meet the people. So, instead of this, or if you're going to go on the yatra, well, fine, do your little yatra. But where is there any sign that the Congress party is also trying to rebuild itself from the grassroots? Where's the organization? Where is there any sign that the organization has been rebuilt? If it had been, it would be much better able to take on the electoral juggernaut.
So in a way, it becomes Tavleen Singh chicken and egg. What comes first, the yatra or the organization? You're saying first rebuild the organization, then go on a yatra. Am I correct?
I'm saying that to me, the yatra is, as I've said and written, it's a distraction from the real work. The real work has not been done. And if you're going to spend 5.5 months with all your senior leaders on a yatra, who's going to do that work? By the time you get to the middle of next year, you're within a few months of the general election. What will be achieved at the end of it?
Manikam Tagore, when L.K. Advani went on a yatra, there was a clear message. You can disagree with the message. He was the messenger, and there was a strong organization backing him. At the moment, the Congress party's problem is, where's the organization that's suddenly going to miraculously transform itself as a result of a 5-month yatra? You haven't acted. Tavleen Singh is right on many of the committee reports that were put in after election defeat after election defeat. You haven't really revived. Look at price rise in Rajasthan or joblessness there. You've got to fix your own states before you go on a yatra. Would you agree or not?
You have to be, please, I with great respect to her, her views, I respect it, but with that thing, please give me time, I'll explain it in my view. This, with Mr. Chandrasekhar, is Padayatra, Madam was mentioning, but Mr. Chandrasekhar was not having a pan-India organization. It was a Janata Party, and which was a weakened Janata Party after many splits under this. He wanted to become Prime Minister. He was not going on a message, going for a fear and hate politics. He was not going on a message. He was going for his ambition, one. Here, Mr. Gandhi is going on a message and a narrative issue. And the 70 Lok Sabha constituencies which Mr. Gandhi will be traveling by foot. Padayatra. Why I'm again and again saying Padayatra is Mr. Advani drew in a Mercedes, in a Toyota Rath, which was not that with all comforts under this. Here it is not going to be like that. It is going to be steps. Each day he has to cover more than 80,000 steps to cover that story itself. Therefore, it is going to be a long journey for those Padayatris also. One thing is that he is going to cover around 68 Lok Sabha segments. In that 68 segments, its Congress party is the one or the second, except 2 seats. Anantapur seat, in my view, or the Uttar Pradesh seat, one seat, I suppose. All other seats are Congress party is number 1 or number 2. Congress party in that constituencies are organizationally strong constituencies. For example, take the example of
all the more, Mr. Tagore, you should go to places where you're not strong. You need to revive yourself. You see, you're telling me you're going to travel through places where you're already strong.
Rajdeep, with great respect, I'll tell to you this thing that accept the Lok Sabha strength, because the data is now out to everybody's hand. Lok Sabha strength in in the Congress, this thing is completely comes from the southern states, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. All other, Karnataka, Telangana, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Himachal, all these things we are blank. We don't have number itself. Therefore, our main issue is that these states where we have lost the election, but we have a strong organization, we have a strong network in place, there Mr. Gandhi is going to travel. He is going to be in each Lok Sabha segment, roughly. He is going to be 3 days or 2 days.
You're saying that because he's traveling on foot, he's going through these constituencies, it will energize your organization and the work.
It will connect.
It will connect with the people.
Three things is there. One is that message, which is a strong message, a fear, politics of fear, politics of hate. And he's speaking about affection and a love-based affection towards all. He's going to speak about it. Second is the leader himself is going to lead. He is not asking somebody else to deal with it. You have to understand it that he is going to lead from the front. When he is going to lead for 3,700 kilometers. If we find fault in that also.
No, I'm not finding
Something
fault.
we are
I'm
buying.
asking, sir, my job is to ask questions. The fact is he's leading from the front, you're saying, on this yatra, but the party wants someone who's actually leading from the front in elections. And that's the question. He cannot be a non-playing captain during elections, but say, I will be the yatri who will lead the party. But, I'm sorry to be skeptical because, all of us, and Tableen Singh is right, want a strong opposition. And that's why we really are focusing in a way on this yatra. But Tableen Singh, I return to that. Rahul Gandhi, do you really believe at the end of 5 months, should we give him the benefit of the doubt and say, look, this is day one. We can judge Rahul Gandhi better possibly after 5 months once the yatra is done. I remember when L.K. Advani began his Ram Rath Yatra, there was skepticism whether this yatra will work. Who knows? This could be Rahul Gandhi's moment of truth or rediscovery.
Who knows? And, good luck to the Congress party if this helps them revive, because we need the Congress party. It's the only thing I agree with what Jairam was saying. The Congress party has to revive, because without the Congress party, there is no opposition. Mm-hmm. It's the only party that we can hope will form the foundation of an opposition. But, they must be clear. Mm-hmm. He can't talk about tapasya and, a personal search and all that sort of business. He's got to be very clear that this is a political move. On the one hand, politicians are not ascetics. They never talk about tapasya.
Power is not poison for them.
They've got to talk about politics as we want to. And, they've really got a weapon against Modi, a chink, which I actually wrote about in my column last week, which is that Modi cannot compete with them on that front where we, on the secular, on that idea that they have of India, right, of an inclusive, pluralistic India. That is Modi's great weakness. So talk about that. Don't talk about tapasya, for goodness sake.
Okay, we'll wait and see what Rahul Gandhi talks about as he goes on this rally. We are told he wants to listen more than talk. But Manikam Tagore for taking the time off. Tableen Singh for joining me. I appreciate both of you being here on the show. The Congress party may be down, but as I said, never write a political party off. We'll wait and see which way the Congress goes after this yatra. Meanwhile, 3 days and counting. Still no respite for the flood-ravaged Bengaluru. Once the Silicon Valley, now the sinking city. Now, the rains may have gone down, but the Met Department has issued a yellow alert saying that there could be more rain in the days ahead. What's happening on the ground? Take a look.
Days since torrential rains lashed the city, Bengalurians are still struggling to cope with the disastrous aftermath in the IT hub and lake bed areas. While there is some respite in the rain today, the misery of India's Silicon Valley residents continues. Waterlogging, pothole-ridden streets, open manholes and crippling traffic snarls have become the new reality for areas around the lakes.
We have to go to the office, but it is raining since last 3 days for full night. Cabs जो है वो कोई बुक नहीं हो रही. आधे घंटे से हम कैब बुक कर रहे हैं लेकिन कैब्स यहाँ पे बुक नहीं हो रही और ट्रैफिक तो बहुत ही खतरनाक है यहाँ पे.
Exams are going on. They postponed the exams after 1 week and now they are doing online class again, which is a big stress for kids also, and those who are working people who has to come for office.
Several villas in the upscale localities of Bengaluru have been abandoned as they remain submerged in floodwater. Residents taking shelter with friends and family or holed up in hotels. Chief Minister Bommai, top ministers and civic officials visited flood-hit areas on the outer ring road. The Chief Minister openly accepted that the city's infrastructure was not designed to handle such torrential rainfall.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ 164 ಕೆರೆಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಈ ತರದ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಹಿಂದೆಂದೂ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೆರೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ಲೂಸ್ ಗೇಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಅವು ತುಂಬಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಜನವರಿಯಿಂದ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರೋ ಮಳೆಯಿಂದ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಳೆಯಿಂದ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಕೆರೆನೂ ತುಂಬಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಬಿದ್ದ ಮಳೆಯಿಂದ, ಕಳೆದ 1 ವಾರ ಬಿದ್ದ ಮಳೆಯಿಂದ ಈಗ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ತುಂಬಿ ಹರಿತಾ ಇದೆ.
The political blame game continues with the Karnataka Congress chief slamming the chief minister for blaming the past Congress government.
This is done because of maladministration and totally unplanned administration of the previous government, Congress government.
What Congress has done, party has given, government is there with him, let it do it. Otherwise, let it leave the government. Let there be a president rule. We know that we will come to power, we will sort out the problem.
Congress Rajya Sabha MP Rajdeep Sardesai has tweeted a video of Bengaluru floods, blaming Bommai's inaction for civic apathy.
It's difficult to believe, but this is a road which goes to one of the housing societies in Bengaluru. Rains have stopped, but water is yet to recede. There are many areas in Bengaluru which have the same story. There has been unplanned construction near stormwater drains which have led to waterlogging in these residential societies. The residents have now been evacuated, but the question they ask, where was the administration when these things were built and what will happen now? With camera person Prashant Bhatt, Mustafa Sheikh in Bengaluru for India Today.
The woes of Bengaluru. Let's from there turn to our Get Real India story, the stories that get lost in the headlines. Today's story comes from Punjab, where guess what? Government employees have not got their salaries for over a week. The delay has led to anger among the employees. Tonight's Get Real India story comes from Kamaljit Sandhu in Punjab.
A Sarkari Naukri is prized in India because of the security it brings. A steady, assured income until retirement. But not in Punjab. A week has passed in September and government employees in Punjab are still waiting for the salary to land in their bank accounts. The anger is now spilling onto the streets.
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਸਬਸਿਡੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੈਸਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਿਰ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਿਰ ਆਏਗੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਦੇ ਦਾਂਗੇ ਬਿੱਲ ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਆਟਾ ਦਾਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਬਿੱਲ ਆਪ ਉਤਾਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ
The protests are not without reason. There are loan installments that can't wait, monthly household expenses to be taken care of.
एक तारीख को हमारा बैंक खाते में उतने पैसे नहीं है कि हमारी किस्तें कटनी है, हमारी 25-30 हज़ार बैंक की किस्तें जा रही हैं, तो हम कहां से मांग के उनको पूरा करके अपनी किस्तें भरेंगे? वे बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है.
The Bhagwant Mann Aap government is facing the heat, and the opposition is riding the wave of public discontent.
सबकी सैलरी जो जिन लोगों की रुकी हुई थी वो आज रिलीज हो चुकी है, सबके अकाउंट्स में जो सैलरी में पहुंच चुकी है. जितने पैसे पेंडिंग पड़े थे थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ गई थी, प्रॉब्लम इसमें आ गई थी कि प्रोसेसिंग में प्रॉब्लम आ गई थी, उसी वजह के थोड़ा डिले हो गया था.
पंजाब सरकार को आए 4 महीने भी नहीं हुए और 9,000 करोड़ रुपए का अब तक लोन ले चुके हैं और लोन लेने के बावजूद अपने कर्मचारियों को तनख्वाह नहीं दे पा रहे. ये मॉडल है दिल्ली का अरविंद केजरीवाल का जो पूरे देश में लागू करना चाहते हैं.
I am shocked that some like what happened in Sri Lanka, something that like that might happen here. Once the employees, today is the 7th, they are not getting employed. I think next few months it will be like 15th, then maybe a 1 month delay. There will be chaos.
The AAP government may have bitten more than it can chew with subsidies. A fat bill of 20,000 crore rupees towards power subsidy is before the state exchequer.
For now, the Aam Aadmi Party will think that once the salaries are dispersed, this could actually douse the flames. But meanwhile, opposition is taking a hit and hitting out at the Aam Aadmi Party over this entire mess. With camera person Roof, this is Kamaljit Sandhu in Chandigarh for India Today.
Let's turn from there to a bit of a break. On the other side, we'll ask, why did India lose out in the Asia Cup? Back-to-back losses. Sunil Gavaskar joins us. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Hey, I noticed something new. You've started using a new body lotion. Funny.
So sorry for the delay. I was on another call. It just kept going on.
No, Papa. You were in a steam bath. Steam bath? At home? Two steam bath he takes.
Go to your homework.
It's 7:20 already. The kickoff's in 5 minutes. Get all the boys. We have the entire place to ourselves, man. Not working?
Of course it is. But I don't want you guys to be using this bathroom. So use the other one.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back. India's loss to Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup has once again exposed the team's failure to perform in a multi-nation tournament, especially in knockout games. What's gone wrong with this Indian team that they lost 2 games in a row at a critical time? What happens in the T20 World Cup? Is too much experimentation hurting the team? Just some of the questions that are being raised. Who better to answer them than Sunil Gavaskar, India Today's expert. Mr. Gavaskar, first thing that you noticed in the 2 losses, is it that batsmen are batting out of position, too much of experimentation, Rishabh Pant at number 6, Deepak Hooda given the role of a finisher? Is India guilty, as I said, of over-experimenting in a major knockout tournament like the Asia Cup?
Well, I don't know what is. I don't know whether that's a declared approach, but all I've been reading and hearing is that they're experimenting to try and get the best sort of combination to go into the World Cup. So obviously, even the Asia Cup has been a platform for experimentation, which hasn't worked, and therefore now these remaining matches. There are 6 T20 games, 3 against Australia, 3 against South Africa. But before that, we'll have to announce the squad for the World Cup. So I guess these are the matches where we'll probably get to know how the experiments have worked or not.
But this word experimentation, you don't really experiment in major tournaments. The new trend also to play a left-hand batsman, in the top of the order. Do you think, somehow India left out its best players? There was, I come back to it, too much experimentation. This focus on so-called matchups meant some of our best players or a steady 11 was never there for India in this Asia Cup.
Well, matchups aren't bad because they give you a fair idea as to what would be a good thing to do. But too much of theory, and matchups is a theory of sorts. But too much of theory is not always the best thing, because practical, what happens on the field, you can match up and do everything, but what happens on the field is completely different. You've got to have a plan A, plan B, and a plan C, which is where I think the Indian team on this particular tournament has not really had alternative plans, because they seem to have got stymied once things have started to unravel for them. So apart from that, I think matchups are fine, but cricket is a game that that changes in seconds, particularly the T20 format, and therefore you've got to be ready for it.
So you're saying you need an alternative plan, a plan B that's missing. Who's to blame for that? Who do we hold accountable? The coach, the captain, or both, if we don't have a plan B in a major tournament?
I think, this is not the time to do any pointing of fingers. This is the time for all of us to actually back this Indian team. Look, the Asia Cup is done and dusted. The more important thing is the World Cup coming through. And I think for that, we should all maybe look to back them. Yes, I think they all themselves would know that there are certain things that maybe they could have improved on. But it's in adversity that we need to be together. And I think that is what, at the moment the Indian team is having. There's a little bit of an adversity because everybody expected India to get to the finals. Not just winning the tournament, but get to the finals, India-Pakistan finals. All these were permutations and combinations even before the first ball of the Asia Cup was bowled. And that's what cricket is all about. Cricket can change in a second. And so India is, at the moment out of the tournament. So let's get back, let's behind, not get back, but get behind this Indian team. Give them the encouragement. Yes, okay, fine. This has happened. But what is more important now? The World Cup. Because, after 2007, India hasn't won this World Cup. The Asia Cup, India has won quite a number of times. And the Asia Cup will happen again in 2 years' time. So I think this is the time to get behind and tell them that, that's fine. It's happened. But, please see the areas where you can improve and plug those gaps which you think are necessary.
Let me leave it there, Mr. Gavaskar. Hopefully, the Indian team will be much better in that World Cup. Jasprit Bumrah, among others, expected to return for that. That should make a huge difference. But I appreciate, as always, you joining us here on the News Today. No more experimentation on the News Today. All we do is give you the news. Thanks for watching. You stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth, on the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.